Volkswagen Golf down a highway in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Watch what happened when a pickup driver swerved without checking his blind spot to avoid a car that had stopped. The pickup cut off a minivan, and the driver had no chance to stop before hitting the back of the pickup. While the minivan rolled over, the pickup spun into Michaela's lane, and she hit it head-on. Incredibly, there were no serious injuries. Unfortunately, all three vehicles involved were totaled. Simon was headed home from work when a Porsche came flying up behind his Audi Q3. The Porsche driver tried to blame the sun for blinding her, but that doesn't explain why she was driving so fast. Simon has moderate whiplash, and both vehicles were totaled. A few minutes after the crash, her mother and friends showed up with a tow truck and tried to quickly get Simon's info so they could leave. Simon knew something wasn't right, so he made them wait for the police, and they were not happy. When the cops arrived, they gave the driver of the Porsche a breathalyzer test. We don't know what the results were, but we do know that she was immediately arrested. Simon wanted to shout out everyone who stopped to help, especially an off-duty cop who kept him from having a panic attack. He also said he's thinking about replacing his Audi with a Tesla. Mario's wife was on her way to school and was waiting to turn right. The driver of the Nissan Rogue in front of her suddenly changed lanes without checking for other traffic. The driver of a Toyota Tacoma had to slam on their brakes and steer into the median to avoid rear-ending the Rogue Nissan. It looks like they set off in pursuit of the Nissan once they'd avoided an accident. This submitter was driving down a highway in Iowa when a truck driver failed to see a sedan before changing lanes, sending the sedan hurtling across the highway and directly in front of our submitter. Our submitter had no chance to stop in time, slamming into the side of the other car. The other car was totaled, and our submitter's Chevy Bolt EUV sustained $12,000 in damage. The semi-truck was just scratched, according to the submitter. Fortunately, there were no serious injuries. Hemming was driving in rush hour traffic and had been watching the driver of an Infiniti weaving through traffic and cutting people off, including him. Eventually, he cut off a Ford Explorer, and that turned out to be a big mistake.
Thank you, officer.
By the way, we had a lot of people commenting on the previous episode about being able to identify unmarked Ford Explorer cop cars by their missing roof rails. Well, this Explorer has roof rails, and it's definitely a cop car.
Thank you.
Lawrence witnessed a close call when a van nearly rear-ended a Mazda 3. The van driver went up on the sidewalk to avoid an accident, and the driver of a pickup pulling a trailer made room as well. Lawrence thinks the van driver may have been distracted, which is funny because the back of the van says it's a phone-free vehicle. Daniel was driving his Mercedes E350 that he'd only owned for 5 months. On his way home from school, another driver pulled out in front of him, causing a collision. The other driver was unlicensed, uninsured, and not even wearing a seatbelt. As a result, he had mild injuries and was taken to a hospital to be checked out. Daniel's own insurance provider is paying for the damage, which will end up costing around $5,400 to fix.